Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense. I'm Kimberly Adams, and I just spilled my drink all over my keyboard. But that's what happens when it's Friday and it's happy hour. Thank you all for joining us for Economics on Tap. Some of you may be aware that this week is currently still Fat Bear Week, which is an event annually held by the Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. And so, appropriately, we have Alaska Public Media reporter Ava White joining us today. Welcome, Ava.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I feel like I should partially blame you for my drink disaster just now because you're the one who suggested that I use my pawpaw drink today.
Well, yeah, you could have gone with the blueberry lemon.
That's true. I could have gone
Not
with the
too late,
blueberry
or it
lemon.
is too late.
It's
Next
not
time.
too late. Yeah, but we do need to discuss drinks. So, what drink did you bring today?
I have two. So,
Okay.
I've never infused anything myself, but
Mm-hmm.
bears eat blueberries. I went blueberry picking a couple of weeks ago. I was inspired by your infusion last week, so I infused some vodka with blueberries. And I also have, we call them Red Bull specials. It's Red Bull with
Okay.
flavor, and I do blue
Mm-hmm.
raspberry, cranberry, and cantaloupe.
Oh, that sounds interesting. All right. Well, how is it?
Oh, it's really good. I mean, should we cheers?
Yeah, cheers. I think I've
Cheers.
salvaged some of my
Friday.
drink. Cheers. So, as you mentioned last week, I infused some of my pawpaw in tequila, and I use that to make a pawpaw margarita, which is now all over my desk. And don't worry, engineers, it did not land on the Comrex, so we should be okay. Let's check out what everybody else is drinking in the chat. Let's see. Lots of party fouls. Got it. Da, 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 da. Mike has Firestone Walker Oktoberfest Oak Age Lager. Paul in Minnesota has a vodka cranberry juice Diet Mountain Dew. Okay,
Mm.
combo. Let's see. Woodmill bourbon on the rocks that Bill is drinking. And Jefferson is having some Jim Beam Sunshine Blend and a Coke. And I have Miles with a Budweiser. Ooh, Kay has a chestnut latte. Mighty Unlikely with an Argentinian Pinot. And Kevin with a cherry limeade poppy. I love it. I love it. I love it. We've got lots of cool drinks, but we have a big show ahead. We're going to get into everything that you need to know about Fat Bear Week, important economic stories going on in Alaska. But now we are going to talk Fat Bear Week. It's so important. So, Ava, help us out. What is Fat Bear Week for those who are not in the know?
So Fat Bear Week is down in Katmai National Park and Preserve, as you said, and it's where the world's largest sockeye salmon run is, and that equals out in some really fat bears. And about 10 years ago, there was a park ranger and he noticed how fat the bears got, and it started as a one-day competition. Obviously, now it's over a week long, and yeah, it's an online bracket style competition, and it's people from everywhere voting for their favorite fat bear. Starts out, it's like March Madness, but with fat bears. So I'm not a huge
Brackets.
sport. Yeah, I'm not a huge sports girl, but I'm into fat bears. So, anyways, but yeah, these bears fatten up over the summer to hibernate, and it's just a celebration of the ecosystem down in the Bristol Bay region and yeah, the abundance of salmon down there and how fat the bears get. It's awesome.
So, which bear did you vote for this year? Or where do you place your bets?
So, top two, I think, are going to be Grazer
Okay.
and Chunk. Chunk was the runner up last year. I talked to someone in Arkansas the other day, and he said Chunk is always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Grazer, if Grazer wins this year, she'll be the first bear to do a consecutive three-peat. So on both
Mm-hmm.
fronts, it would be really exciting. But Chunk showed up to Brooks River this year with the broken jaw, and he still packed on
Mm.
hundreds of pounds. He's at least 1,200 pounds, according to Katmai. But like that's crazy,
That's
and
a
it's
big
it's just
bear. That's a
it's a
very big
big bear,
bear.
but it's just amazing that like he was able to still put on that much weight. And if you see his pictures, he's got a clearly like broken jaw. It's interesting. I think.
And
Who
I
are
was
you rooting
reading
for?
online because they have great like bios of all these bears, and it's like this is a
Mhm.
permanent thing for him. It's not like it's gonna get fixed. He's gonna have that the rest of his life, and he's like changing his fishing tactics in response so that he's not like fighting with the other bears so much. Um, I don't know. I think they're also cuddly, but not cuddly because they're very dangerous bears.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Grazer because I like the idea of the lady coming out ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna say Grazer. Just
Yeah, and
'cause.
she's a mama bear. Mama bear at
Mm-hmm.
heart. And Grazer's in the
Literally.
bracket today, so if you're watching, you should go if you want to vote for Grazer. Grazer's against number
Yeah.
909. So,
And after our live stream, they have a live stream of the bears at the river, which I've been peeking at most of the day today. It's pretty fantastic. Okay, so then let's talk about some other Alaska news. What are the sort of some of the big stories that you're following in the state right now?
oil is always something that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oil plays a really big role in our overall state picture. There's an economist, a retired economist here. His name's Scott Goldsmith, and he has an analogy that a lot of economists here use, and it's that Alaska's economy sits on a three-legged stool. One is oil and gas, the other is the federal government, the third is other, but that includes like tourism and fisheries and things like that. Um, we have something called the permanent fund dividend, which is really fun. It's kind of like a universal basic income, and it comes from, I don't know, our mineral royalties are put into an account. It's
Mm-hmm.
called the Alaska Permanent Fund. And at this point, it's worth over $80 billion. And essentially, a portion of that money goes back to residents here. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really timely because we get our checks next week. But it's interesting because this is the lowest check ever. It's $1,000. But when adjusted for inflation, it's the lowest ever. But I don't know. We call it the PFD here, and everyone it's all the craze every October. So.
So when you say it's worth less, like it's lower than it used to be, like what does that
Mhm.
mean in terms of like how that actually feels for
Yeah.
Alaskans?
Yeah. So I was also curious about that. And so I'm actually speaking with an economist next week. His name's Brett Watson, but I emailed him a couple weeks ago and I was like, what how do we like visualize this? Because like we know that money doesn't go as far, but how can we show that? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm pulling up the data he sent me. So he one of the ways that he calculated it was actual miles driving. I'm in Anchorage, which
Mm-hmm.
is South Central, and he measured it in round trip drives to Fairbanks, which is 300 over 350 miles away. And so we compared 3 years, 1982, 2003, and 2025. Those 3 years, the PFD amount is equivalent. Um, so how many round trip drives could you go from Anchorage to Fairbanks? In 1982, you could go 16 times. In
Mm-hmm.
2003, 14 times. 2025, 8 times. So you like your money literally takes you mileage half as far as it used to
That's
physically.
wild. But what a great way to illustrate that, though.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And he broke down some other statistics that we're going to get into next week, but it's fascinating. And yeah, it's a lot to get into. And it's just interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it's all the craze. All Alaskans talk about this, and Alaskans are very upset about. I don't know. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole another thing. There, a lot of people are upset about the PFD amount this year. But.
Well, I would be too. But if y'all in the chat are interested, you should make sure to check out Ava's reporting on Alaska Public Media next week for her stories. But Alaska was really in the news here in Washington quite a bit
Mhm.
during the negotiations for the One Big Beautiful Bill Act because y'all got some special carve outs in sort of the last minutes of those negotiations. What did you end up with on the other side of that big bill slash that it's actually a law?
One that I think is just like really interesting is there was a carve out for whaling captains, and it essentially raised their tax deductions for hunting related expenses from $10,000 to $50,000. how many people does that really, I'm pretty sure 11 whaling communities here in Alaska. And for those whaling communities, it is a really big deal. But how many people does that really impact? I do not know. But I think it's said more that Indigenous people still subsist and people in America still hunt whales and live off the land. And I just think it says something more to address that at a federal level. I don't think the whaling carve out was necessarily Lisa Murkowski's vote, but I do think
This is the
it says
senator from Alaska.
yeah, yes, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski. And I just think it says more overall that Indigenous people exist and Indigenous people live like this. And one of my colleagues at KNBA, it's another station here in Anchorage, she spoke with Inupiaq whalers, and this guy's from Kaktovik, and he's basically talking about how it costs a lot for them to go and hunt their traditional foods. The costs in these villages are astronomical, and so for them, it does mean a lot. But like I said, I just think it comes down to recognizing Indigenous people at a federal level.
You know, you raise a really good point about some of these communities, because Alaska also came up quite a bit in the fight over the rescissions package, which had a great relevance to you and I because we work in public media, and some of the stations that are the most affected by some of these cuts at the federal level to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting include stations that reach Indigenous communities, stations in rural Alaska. And I mean, I have to imagine you're seeing this play out across the state that you have grown up in.
Yeah. So story. I used to work in Nome, Alaska. It's where the end of the Iditarod Trail sled dog race finishes. That's how people know it. It's a gold mining town. That's how it got started. Anyways, that was my first job in public media. I worked for KNOM, and weeks within me being there, we lost cell service for months. I want to say it was 14 weeks. And
Wow.
yeah, there was a cable break off of the North Slope. And it was like, I live in Anchorage. I lived in a big city, and here I'm cut off from everything. But you realize how much people rely on the radio. People are wishing each other happy birthday on the radio, calling in with like community events. People are I don't know. I feel like it's just a very human way of interacting. And we have 27 public radio stations here in Alaska. I'm in Anchorage. I'm the statewide morning host for Alaska Public Media, and I take a lot of pride in that we share the stories from across the state. And while these cuts do hurt my station, it worries me more for the smaller stations and those voices not getting out on the airwaves. Because as Alaskans, we're far away. Sometimes it's easy for us to feel cut off. Yeah, it's easy for us to feel cut off. And it's just a way, I don't know, it's a way of sharing stories. And I just think it's important for people to get information and give information. I feel like we get so much from those communities. And yeah, I don't know. I think we would lose a lot without a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, this is a reminder to everybody to please support your local public radio stations, especially if you are in Alaska where they really need it. Or even if you're not in Alaska, you can still support Alaska Public Radio. You can also support Marketplace because, in case you noticed, my new Marketplace swag, if you're on the live stream, we are having a half-priced hoodie weekend. And so starting today, if you want this cool hoodie that I have, if you're listening on the podcast, it's black and white, very graphic. It's really cool. And you can get it for half price. It's a zip-up hoodie. If you donate $10 a month or more to Marketplace, you can get this hoodie. It's usually for a donation of $20 a month or more, but only through Sunday can you get this hoodie half off. That's why we call it half-priced hoodie weekend. You know, it works. And it's just in time to get into the cooler weather, at least down south here. You're already in the cooler weather up there, Ava. It's rainy and cold in Alaska already. But I hope that you all will please. 47. Yeah, no, hard pass. I'm like a little sweaty here in DC with this on, but if you all who are listening, who are watching, want to support trustworthy journalism and pick up a cozy hoodie for the colder days, please do go to marketplace.org/givesmart, or you can follow the link in our show notes to get yourself a half-priced hoodie. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and some folks in the chat want to know how your infusion turned out, your blueberry infusion.
So good. I wasn't gonna tap
Yes.
into it until today, but I tried it last night and it was so good. Highly recommend for everyone at home.
And what did you use to make it again? Because I was like cleaning up pulp for myself when you were telling me earlier.
It's just Tito's vodka, and I went blueberry picking like a month ago, and I took a handful and crushed them up and put them in the bottle, strained it, did its job.
Works for me. I love it. And my pawpaw margarita, despite losing half of it, is quite delicious. I'm a big fan. But now it is time for us to play a game. And we are going to, Ava is going to stick with us for the game. And we are going to play our traditional game, half full, half empty. But we have another special guest with us today to host our game, Jay Seabold. Jay, are you ready?
Hey, let's do it. You ready? Here we go.
Yes.
First up, fast food becomes fast drink. And no, I am not talking about putting a Big Mac in a blender, thankfully. Although I would try that. But McDonald's went big on beverage a few years ago, opened up 5 shops, called them Cosmics, had light snacks, coffees, fruity drinks, and sodas. Taco Bell even gave it a go with a Live Más drink store in San Diego. And the latest attempt comes from Chick-fil-A, a new concept called Daybright, set to open this fall in Atlanta. And no chicken here. It'll be smoothies, juices, coffees, and the like. So, are you half full or half empty on drink-focused spin-offs of chain restaurants?
Half full.
You have strong feelings.
We don't have a Chick-fil-A. We don't have Chick-fil-A in Alaska, so I heard Chick-fil-A and I said, yes.
Have you ever had it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You get to Seattle and it's like it's one of the first places you go.
Am I half full or half empty? I don't. It feels a little strange to the idea of a Chick-fil-A with no chicken. Is that what you're saying, Jay?
That's right. They will have some other light snacks, but it's not going to have any of the main menu items of Chick-fil-A.
Then why is it a Chick-fil-A?
You can
This
get a
is an
lemonade.
attempt. This is an attempt by a subsidiary of Chick-fil-A to branch out the brand, to expand the brand. And also,
You
of
know
course,
what?
to compete with Starbucks here, right?
Oh, you know what? It's economic growth. I'll take it. Half full. Why not?
That's right.
Okay.
All right. What's the next
Let's
one?
move on from chicken to apples. But in this case, it's Apple, the tech company. They unveiled the new AirPods 3 this month. And one new feature caught the eyes and ears of many, real-time translations. A demo video shows 2 professional-looking people sitting across from each other at a table. They're both speaking different languages, but they've also both got AirPods in their ears, translating the conversation as they speak, probably as they close the next great business deal. Now, AI has accelerated the loss of an industry that once relied on bilingual or multilingual human experts, foreign language translation. Are you half full or half empty on using AI for live translations?
That's a tough one. See, on the one hand, I think like learning languages does something for your brain that's amazing, and I think it learning languages also helps you like learn a culture, and you learn it's just a great thing to do. I'm terrible at languages, but I still try. But I also can see this just like opening so many more doors for understanding and maybe helping out a lot of tourists and people who are not great with languages like me to adapt better in the world. Um, I'm gonna have to say half full because I like that the technology can do it, but with the giant caveat that it might make it even less likely that people learn languages, especially some of these like threatened languages, or when you have people who are coming from, diaspora communities, and it'll be make it even easier to kind of lose that connection to community. So a very slight half full. What do you think, Ava?
I think half empty. I think if AI hallucinates in an app, why would it not hallucinate through my ears? I mean,
Mm,
that's my
mm.
first question, and that question enough is enough for me to say half empty.
There's a lot of folks in the chat who agree with you and are half empty because they just don't think that AI is there yet, or Sarah points out too many legal concerns for business deals. If that internet connection drops out, or errors, Denham says errors would cause miscommunications. So a lot of folks are agreeing with you, very worried about the miscommunications, and which is not even at all what I was thinking of. I had all these like cultural reasons for not being fully on board, but everyone all is like, no, the technology's not there yet, Kimberly. Duh. Okay, fine. Fine. What's the next one, Jay?
All right. 5 years ago, you would have been quickly outed as very uncool if you gave your friend a ride in, let's say, your 2010 Dodge Caliber and revealed there was no sleek touchscreen on the dashboard. Physical buttons, actual dials? So lame. Well, that tide may finally be turning. That maverick automaker Mercedes-Benz, they announced this month they're bringing back buttons to new car models. Less priority given to the buttonless dashboard control centers that Tesla's made so popular, for example. One of the Mercedes software experts said what many of us already know, quote, "The data shows us the physical buttons are better." Are you half full or half empty on car companies moving away from touchscreens?
I think there were actually some regulations. Full?
I'm full.
I think there were actually some regulations in Europe, like mandating that they needed to have more like buttons and like hard tactile things because it's like safer, because you don't want to be staring at, a screen while you're trying to drive, or navigating, between whatever's while you're trying to like make decisions about the road. So I am like you, full on more buttons, more knobs. And also it reminds me of the radio, the old school radio, turning a knob, very quaint. All right, what's the next one, Jay?
I think it's time for our poll here.
All right, everybody in the YouTube chat, get ready to vote in our poll. And while you're at it, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Okay, here we go. There's an old saying from someplace. It goes, sometimes you got to dance with the one who brung you. Basically, be loyal to the ones who got you where you are. And maybe these days, you dress to the nines and you dine at pricey Italian restaurants. You order pappardelle, pasta, and bolognese sauce. But how could you forget your first love, that proud American macaroni dinner Hamburger Helper? Just add milk, ground beef, and boom, happy family fed for cheap. And you might be surprised, being this is Marketplace, Hamburger Helper could be the next great economic indicator. A meal for uncertain times. Are you half full or half empty on the rise in sales of Hamburger Helper?
It makes me think about like my go-to very cheap meals for the times in my life when I was the most economically stressed. And sure, there was like eating ramen in many stages of my life, but also, and not the fancy ramen, like the basic ramen, but also when I was in college, my go-to was I had this like little plastic rice cooker slash like pot that just was like a water boiler thing. And I would always use that. And I would go to the store and I would get like canned chicken. And I would take the canned chicken and put it in this little water boiler with rice and adobo seasoning and make like chicken and rice with adobo seasoning. And that was like my go-to meal when I was going through like stretches of very low income. And then rice-a-roni was another one. I used to eat a lot of that. What have been your go-to meals at points of stress in your life?
I'm a big like microwave quesadilla girl. I'm a top ramen fan. It's easy to like spice up top ramen. You can
Yeah,
put a
for
little
sure.
put a little egg in there, put canned chicken in there. I don't know, quesadillas of any kind. Like I'll do like a pizza quesadilla, just a regular cheese quesadilla. I'll put cream cheese on a quesadilla. I'll do a breakfast quesadilla. Quesadilla.
Yeah, everybody's giving their meals. Let's see. Lots of Hamburger Helper fans. A lot of people are empty just because so they, salt in a bag or whatever, salt and additives. I get it. Tuna Helper. Everybody's complaining about the salt. I get it. Spam Burger Helper. Wow, y'all are hating on the Hamburger Helper in here. Jeez. Okay. I am going to go half empty on the rise in Hamburger Helper sales because it's a sign that people are struggling. And as we've been doing reporting on Marketplace, most of the spending in this economy right now is being driven by wealthier people, and folks at the lower end of the income scale are suffering. So I'm half empty on that one. What about you, Ava?
I'm going to agree because last week there was a story about how beef prices are up. That makes sense that we're seeing these two headlines at the same time.
It does. It does indeed. All right. Poll results. Most of the folks in the crowd are with us. They're half empty on a rise in Hamburger Helper sales, and half full is just 40% on that poll. Thanks, everybody, for voting. All right, that is it for today. Thanks again for joining us, Ava from Alaska Public Media. Really appreciate it. Tell us where everybody can find your reporting.
AlaskaPublicMedia.org. I'm there all the time.
All right. And we still want to hear from you all. We're going to be working on a show for next week about some of these big terms that may have been catching your ear in the news cycle lately. And since you already learned about the PFD, or is it the PDF? What?
No, you're right. PFD, Permanent Fund Dividend. You're
PFD.
right.
All right, you learned that today, but if there are other terms that you've been wondering about, state capitalism, fascism, authoritarianism, if you may have heard them lately, are there terms that you want to understand better about our current political or economic climate at the moment? Make sure to send those our way. You can leave us a voicemail at 508-UB-SMART or makemesmart@marketplace.org. The cat has brought me a toy. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker. Today's episode was engineered by Charlton Thorpe, and the team behind the YouTube live stream is Emily McCune and Antoinette Brock. Our interim supervisory senior producer is Stephanie Seek. Nancy Fargali is the executive producer of Marketplace shows, and Joanne Griffith is our chief content officer. I see you, cat. He brought me a Halloween-themed toy, which is appropriate.